Hey guys, it's Dr. Kinnar here, and I just wanted to welcome you to another episode of Dentapreneurs TV, where we invite successful entrepreneurs, speakers, authors, and people who can really add value to us in our industry. And so today I have none other than the famous, and most of you know him, Dr. Geoff Wans. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, welcome him please. So here we go, guys. A little bit about Geoff. Geoff and I have known each other for almost coming to 6 years, right? We first met, I invited this legendary speaker from America, Michael Grinder. Michael Grinder is the brother of Dr. John Grinder, who is one of the founders of NLP. And that's the time when I met Geoff first. And ever since, you know how you meet some people and you get connected. And some people with charm, some people with taste, and some people with just a good aura on them. And that's one of these gentlemen, fine gentlemen. I have had the honor of knowing him. And Geoff, I wanted to welcome you to the show today.
Thanks, Kinnar.
I don't know, I mean, I've got this special place in my heart for you. And I just wanted to, first of all, thank you for coming today and adding value to our audience. And not only that, because I've kind of known you for 6 years, but I've also witnessed your journey over the time. So thank you once again and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kinnar. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here today. I suppose I should probably introduce myself a little bit
That
more.
would be awesome.
Yep. So for those that don't know me, my journey, I was born in Canada. You could tell from my accent that I'm not from around here. And I did my dental schooling in Australia. I don't know what led me to Sydney, but we did the schooling there. My original intention was to go back to Canada, and I had to do a couple years in the States. And the best I could do was probably end up settling in Washington State, just south of Vancouver. Eventually I met and fell in love with this lovely girl who kind of later on convinced me to come back to Sydney. That was a hard decision at the time, but honestly one of the best decisions I've made. I'm so glad and thankful to be here. I've been back to Australia since 2012. I worked as an associate under a great boss for a good 5 years, but at that time it was getting to the point where I wanted to do things for myself, do things my way, do things slightly differently from what I was doing from my old boss. So that's eventually when my own practice was born. Out of Penrith, we purchased a pretty exhausted and dying practice, but we managed through through hard work, hustle, bit of faith, and some strategy to grow it to the bustling business that it is today. So, you know, I've got a lot of people to be grateful for and to thank for all that to happen.
Excellent, excellent. So one of the things we've known in our industry, we have actually here in Australia especially, we have a lot of dentists coming from international settling down here. Of course, you just mentioned that you're from Canada, right?
Correct.
And one of the things when I have a chat with quite a few dentists is they find a little bit of a difference from where they've graduated and when they've practiced or the type of practice they do in their countries compared to in Australia. So maybe if you could share maybe one or two things that you found that was different in the way you practice or the way you graduated back in Canada, back in States, compared to moving here now. How long have you been here for again?
10, 11 years now.
10, 11 years. Okay, so why would you like to share that with our audience?
Sure. Even though I was a Sydney grad, like dental school all across the board, I'd say it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that the States has that we don't have is how tight the insurance controls the dental game. They set the fees, they set the reimbursements, and quite oftentimes it's a lot less than what dentists would be charging. And so, and there's this massive infiltration of insurance mentality over in that country. Around here in Australia, we're so lucky and blessed that we could still set our own fees the way that we want to, which then gives the practices the ability to have to not go for sheer volume to make ends meet and have some sort of level of success and profit for their businesses. So that's one of the biggest differences and absolute advantages that I see Australia having.
Awesome. Okay, so in the insurance you're talking about, the private insurance.
Yeah, private insurance or health funds, whatever you call it in different countries. Yeah.
All right. What else do you think was different?
I think that Australia is just a much smaller market. There's so many, because the population is smaller, there's fewer dentists, and there's a greater ability to connect and network with great like minds. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here today speaking to you, because back in the States I was like just a little guy in a big
Yes.
ocean of dentists, whereas here it's much more of a pond. There's much fewer dentists, so there's a greater chance for you to have some sort of voice or some significance in the industry.
Right. And what a point I got from that is that we have the ability to hear, especially in Australia, when you say there's fewer dentists compared to America. I think we have about close to just around the 20,000 mark, while in America it's more than 300,000 mark of dentists, right? So we have the chance of getting to know each other if we make the effort of getting to know each other. So one of the things I've loved about you is that you are someone who networks around because you realize that that's important. Could you share something around that? I mean, why do you think that's important? Why do you think it's important to get to know other dentists and etc.?
Well, when I initially graduated, I thought I knew everything.
Yes.
You know, you go to a few restorative courses, you go to a few implant courses, you think, oh yeah, I'm the man, I know everything.
Yeah.
But really the power comes in proximity,
yes.
which is something that I repeatedly hear from you all the time. And who you surround yourself with determines on how far you end up going. And so lately, these past, I'd say 5 years, I've got like surgical guys that I follow. I got communication guys that I follow. I've got practice management people that I follow that have helped raise my level and helped me raise my game so that I'm able to be able to coach at a level that I never thought would be possible.
Right, right. Amazing, right?
It is absolutely God's plan.
And can you give us one tip or two tips? Because you've, I still remember the day you told me, Kinnar, I never used to network much before, but then when we found the value of proximity is power, you started going out consciously and meeting people. So what can you share with our audience there? One or two tips they can take away, maybe how to reach out to other dentists. How would you share that?
We all have problems. We all have difficulties. We all have challenges that we face. And the thing is, we're not alone in this. We might think that we are, but somebody else out there has gone through exactly what we've gone through right now. And the beautiful thing is there are lots of people out there that are willing to provide a helping hand. I mean, yesterday I was watching Anthony Mack give a lecture on heated composites and it's like, wow, this is one guy who's done specialized training, willing to share his knowledge to help the industry out. And so there's always somebody out there who's willing to help. And I've done hundreds of mistakes, if not thousands by now.
Yeah.
And I know what it feels like to be kind of down and out and feel like, oh crap, what do I do here? Just ask for help. And that's what the power of the network is here for.
Yes. And excellent, and we can all learn from each other. That's the important message I want to take away with all the dentists as well out there, you know, that you have to reach out. What is the one way you can encourage them to reach out? What's that one thing? How would they reach out to others?
Just do it.
Just do it.
There's all sorts of supportive forums out there. Dentapreneurs, even DPR, Dental Hacks Nation.
Yeah.
Yes, there's going to be a few trolls.
Yeah.
But for the most part, there's many that are out there that are happy and willing to help anyone in need.
So what the point I'm getting away from, Geoff, is, guys, we have social media right now, right? And social media has allowed us to network and reach out to other people, you know, and learn from each other. Thank you, Geoff, for sharing that. That's an amazing point, because I do remember you have networked, and one of the things I witnessed in your journey is that you are you leech from others. In learning, you learn and learn, but you give back so much, because whatever you've learned also, I've seen that you are teaching and sharing that knowledge as well, which is what I love about you, you know?
Absolutely.
So Geoff, thank you for sharing that. The next thing I want to ask you, and I want to go into your business, right?
Sure.
Bella Dental Penrith.
Bella Dental Penrith.
Right? Bella Dental Penrith, right? So tell us about your humble palace, right? Tell us, where was your journey? How did you start there?
Sure.
Give us a bit of a run back on that.
All right. So after taking Neil Kashyap's practice startup course, a couple of takeaways that I got from that is, one, you need to find a location that has a population that will support an extra dentist. Too many suburban areas, there are already oversaturated with dentists that will limit the trajectory of growth. And so it was a balance between going somewhere far, far rural, an hour and a half to 2 hours away from Sydney, versus somewhere that would be a little less far but a bit more populated. And so we're trying to find that balance in this little location in Penrith.
Yeah.
And now what had happened is that the previous owner, who was an excellent operator, He started the practice back in the EPC days. Now, if anyone doesn't know what the EPC days were, basically anybody who had any sort of medical condition, whether it be heart disease, depression, erectile dysfunction, they'd get a check from the government to get $4,000 worth of dental treatment. So it was like a license.
I remember those days, yes.
Yeah, it was a license to print money for dentists.
Yeah.
And then the government realized, hey, this isn't working, so they shut it down. And then these guys realized that they have to go back to proper communications and sales skills, which most dentists lack.
Yes.
And so out of desperation, he had 3 practices. He'd let go of 2. I picked up one of them in South Penrith. I'm not sure what happened to the other. Doesn't really matter. And it was basically just get back to basics.
Yeah.
You know, be a good dentist, support the community, do the right thing.
Yeah.
And eventually word will spread. Your business will grow. The team grows. And now we've got from what we were doing before, 5 provider days a week. Now we're at 12 provider days a week, 3.5 years later.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yes. And you've expanded in your current practice as well.
Absolutely. We were just like a 1 chair and a bit practice. Now we're almost 3 chairs.
Yes. And you won the awards.
And we won the local business awards last year. 18 finalists. I was like, yeah, right. There's no way we'd get this. And then when they said our name at the end, I was like, what?
Yes. What do you think made the difference of you guys winning that?
I think it was just us doing what we do best, and not only that, having the intention of helping out the community.
Yeah.
So we'd get out a lot. We'd support our local businesses, you know, for our birthdays. And there's more team members now. We always get cakes from one of our local bakeries. We're also sponsored a few of the local rugby teams and the Penrith Panthers last year. So that's the NRL team.
Yes.
And so we tried to make ourselves really, really known and supportive for the community, because it's not about us.
Yeah.
It's not about us. We do what we do for the customers that come through our doors, and ultimately we're trying to make our community a better place.
Yeah. Businesses helping other businesses, community support. That's a great message from Dr. Geoff, guys. You know, just if you aren't doing that at the moment, go out and make a plan on how are you going to be involved in helping other businesses and also supporting other businesses and charities. And at the end of the day, you know, what you give, you get. Am I right,
That's
Dr. Geoff?
Absolutely.
Now, Geoff, one of the other things I've found over the time is that you've learned that it's important to get involved in marketing and branding.
Absolutely.
Right? So would you like to share with our audience what has really worked for you in terms of marketing and branding?
Sure. I actually gave this question some thought this morning.
Yeah.
Marketing is really getting your message out, but it's got to start from the top as a leader. I read a couple books every year. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, and The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey.
Yeah.
And that kind of gets me in the mindset of like, who do I have to be as a person, as a leader, so that I can properly influence my team and my patients. So that way you're building your reputation, who is ultimately your brand. Marketing is all about making noise in the community. So whether it's helping out your local community, hammering away at the social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, I haven't figured it out yet.
Yes.
All I know is like the more noise you make,
Yes.
the more you'll eventually reach out to, you know, the local community or whoever's listening.
Yeah.
And then there's always treating your customers so well that they have no other choice but to talk about you at the dinner table with their friends.
Making noise.
Yeah.
I know that you're a fan of Uncle G, Grant Cardone. Show me that way. What it does is, hey! Right. I love it. That's the way. I mean, make noise in the market.
That's it.
People need to be aware of who you are, where you are first, before they even consider doing business with you. Right?
Exactly. You can't be just flooding the marketplace with buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. It's got to be more about, hey, here we are. This is what we're doing. Hey, this is me. This is the value I want to give to you.
Yeah.
This is how I want to help you. This is how I help this customer. This is us having fun. It makes you a human. It makes you more approachable, because nobody wants to see a dentist.
Yeah.
We're scary white-coated people with blood splatters all over us that hurt people.
That's right. and that's the perception of people in the market, right? So I like what you say. The 2 big points I got away from that is branding is one of the things that you have to make noise constantly about it, but it's more to do with emotional marketing. People just don't want to see dentist stuff. They want to know also how you're living a life, how your team is involved, having fun, supporting the community and all that kind of stuff. Geoff, that's what I love about you, because you are out there making noise, right? Hey, right? I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Geoff. Any tips on what's really working for you in marketing in terms of, where various ways of I understand that a website is important to have.
Absolutely.
Right? So can you share something about the website? What would you want to share?
The website is kind of like your shop front. When people are shopping around, they're going to pass the shop. When they go onto your website, they need to be wowed by it, and it has to keep their attention to whatever problem it is that they're seeking help for.
Yeah.
Usually whenever you go on the Google, you're thinking about something or you're experiencing a problem, and so you want some sort of solution. So then you go researching. Once they land on your website, you basically have to be able to address their problem in a way that engages them, where they want to do business with you. Now, 3% of the people that go on the website will end up picking up the phone or doing some sort of call to action. But the rest, they'll either one day come back, but at least make an impression enough where they do come back and it's like, yep, I want to go back to that Kinnar guy.
Yeah, I like that. And in your experience, where you're based in Penrith in a shopping center.
Yep.
Right. The kind of marketing you do, you're obviously doing AdWords, you're doing SEO, you're doing social media,
Yep.
you're also doing local community marketing, and anything else. I mean, what else are you doing? What else is working the best for you?
I think bang for buck would be the social medias.
Yeah.
If you got people that are within your practice that are constantly on social media, have some sort of like strategy or plan where you might pre-take a whole bunch of photos, pre-do a bunch of posts, and then drip feed them through the news feed, or as things come up, have somebody whip out the camera. Hey, let's do this.
Yes.
So long as it continues to flood the social media feeds, that's how you get seen and visible. The other thing that works really well from an internal marketing standpoint
Yep.
is, and this is what Angus has taught me, is having some sort of giveaway for internal referrals.
Yeah.
So dangle some sort of prize, like we've given away an iPhone, and that resulted in, I think, about 100 word of mouth referrals in 3 months, which more than paid for the iPhone. That's a way to kind of stimulate your existing clients who know, like, and trust you to encourage their network to come see you.
Great. That's 3 words you mentioned there: know, like, and trust. And that's what we need to establish with our patients in the market, or in the market as well.
Yep.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Geoff. I want to dive into a little bit of a personal question.
Yeah, bring it on.
You come across as really energetic. You come across as really I know you're working out. The recent videos I've seen on your social media, you've been doing this push-ups and press-ups, and the industry loves you for that, because you do share fitness, right? But the question I want to ask you is, share with us 3 habits you do daily or more for like a ritual and a routine,
Sure.
which keeps you productive, which keeps you focused,
Yep.
Because I believe that entrepreneurship or running any business involves, bringing your A game, right? And if your mind is not there, if you're not to have certain routines, then you can't be there. So share with our audience right now, what is it you do on a daily basis, man? I just want to know.
Okay. There's this book written by Hal Elrod called The Miracle Morning, where he talks about, I think it was 6 habits.
Yeah.
They call it the savers, we call it the sammers. So
Yeah.
silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, scribing.
Yeah.
So honestly, I can't do all of that in a day. So that's it is what it is. I'm a human, sorry.
Yeah.
But some of the non-negotiables that I aim to do would be to have at least my 5 minutes of silence where it's completely nothing. Sit down, close my eyes. I might listen to a little bit of meditative music so that I could zone out and figure out how do I want my day to be. After that, I'm going to pound out 20 to 30 minutes of exercise. Usually it's anywhere between high intensity interval training or a bit of cardio, starting to go for a jog. I was meant to do a half marathon this year, but the hibernation happened.
Yes.
So I hope to be doing that with my dad in Vancouver next year.
Awesome.
All right. And then there's also the weights. I don't know. After reading David Goggins' book, man, I just want to be a hard, a hard MF.
Yes.
I won't
Why
swear
not?
again.
Why not? Right?
Yeah. Because life's too short to be soft.
Yes.
And all this ultimately helps you to get that right mindset where you're going to tackle the day and own the day.
Mindset is important.
Big time. You can't let something like, oh, it's too cold this morning. Oh, it's raining, so I've already started to have a bad day. Because as soon as you start off that way, it kind of attracts and has a downward effect on the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to be running behind all day. Oh, these other emergencies have popped up.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love how you shared that as much as you say that you don't do the savers, you read a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Which encourages you and inspires you to continue becoming better than who you were yesterday, right? And it also gives you more knowledge on how to tackle different decisions, because everything is decision based in our life.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
The way our life progresses as we make decisions in life. And also the HIIT, share something about that, like something about that for our audience. Where's the best place to learn about high intensity interval training?
I just YouTube it.
Yeah, wow, there you go.
If you wanted to get all scientific about it, and I'm quoting the works of my Canadian colleague Uche Oreatu, is that when you exercise, it releases some sort of brain, it improves your neuroplasticity.
Yes.
Which makes you more adaptive towards the day. It makes you less prone to kind of getting beaten down by the insults, by the life insults that get thrown at you throughout the day.
Yes.
It makes you more indestructible.
Yes. I love it. There you go from Geoff himself, right? A couple of his non-negotiables. You got to have non-negotiables so that your mind is maximized to operate on a daily basis, to tackle everything you have in dealing with your businesses, dealing with your team, dealing with leadership, dealing with communication. So, Geoff, thank you for sharing that. Teams. Super important for all of us to have great teams, and like teams make us or break us, right? So I just want you to tell us something regarding your teams and how you have built or gone about building a great team.
Great. I don't even know how it happened, but I think we finally got the right people on board.
Yeah.
If you've ever read Tony Hsieh's book called, what's it called, Delivering Happiness?
Yes.
It's all about building a solid, cohesive, and happy, thriving team culture. And since my Gallup strengths, number one strength was harmony, I just want people to be happy.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I'm hiring people that are ready to work, ready to hustle, know their roles clearly, are able to carry out the mission and the vision of the business. And I've really lucked out on my current team at the moment. Everyone's just a high performer. They're clear on what has to be done. And since we've become more organized and systematized, it's just only gotten easier, which has resulted in growth of the practice.
Yeah.
We've got more patients coming through. We've got more providers to be able to service them at the moment. And I couldn't have done it without the team. So for myself, it's really about having the mindset and the leadership to be able to steer them as to setting the expectations and making sure that their personal needs are met and fulfilled so that they're engaged and happy to continue carrying out the work.
I like it. I love it. I love it how you say that you have to be a leader first, right? And then your team adapts to it, because you know character is everything in leadership, right?
Absolutely.
And you mentioned there that you've got you work with your strengths, right? So you mentioned the word Gallup strengths. I'm a Gallup strengths coach, and how has those strengths helped you, by the way, in leading and team building?
Well, with harmony, I want people to be happy. When they're happy, they're engaged. They're going to do their jobs well, right? And for my patients, if I can make them happy, then they're more likely to accept what it is that I'm trying to propose for them to help them. And also with teams, like to keep them engaged, we also have very, very regular meetings. At one point, we were having them weekly on Monday mornings. We'd come a whole 45 minutes early on a Monday morning, hash out a whole bunch of things that we were addressing. And because they were so frequent, there would be fewer and fewer items that we'd have to action and address. As a result, we got so much more done in moving the business forward. And it's all because of the team and their engagement.
Well, and what I can sense from there is you're very structured, Geoff, right? So one of the things I picked up is that leadership is important, guys. Know your strengths as a leader, right? So one of the tests is Gallup Strengths Test. The other one is Myers-Briggs. You can do Enneagram, all these kind of tests are there. But like as a leader, make sure you know your strengths and lesser strengths, as we call it.
Yep.
You're very structured and systemized and strategized in your practice. So everyone knows kind of what needs to be done on a daily basis. It's not just everyone showing up and doing whatever comes into play, right? So you are very systemized and structured.
Absolutely.
Regular meetings you mentioned as well. Dr. Geoff mentioned regular meetings. So how often is everyone having regular meetings? And you said you're having at least once a week?
Weekly, yep.
Weekly meetings, right? And what are the kind of discussions you have in those meetings?
Marketing plans,
Yeah.
any sort of initiatives that we're doing, projects that are happening around the office.
Yeah.
Anything and everything under the sun, so that
Yeah.
there's complete transparency with what's going on with the business and how it's affecting and how the team can be involved in it.
Great. Super important, guys, to have a plan in place, right? Where everyone is involved. I remember Geoff telling me once back in the day that you don't only have to craft the vision, but you have to cast it. Right, so you've done that as well. You actually know what you really want.
Still working on it.
Still working on it. Fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing that, Geoff.
Yeah.
You have a beautiful team. You have an amazing team, and I know them quite personally as well. Next question. Now, having this amazing team, of course, leads to something I believe in is giving exceptional 7-star service.
Yes.
Why don't you share with our audience here, right? Maybe 2 or 3 ways you feel you're doing something unique where others can employ in their practices and do something unique regarding 7-star service.
Great. Absolutely. Service starts with the customer itself. You know, when they're in the chair with their mouth open and you're working on them, they're a patient. But after that, anywhere outside, when you're interacting with them as a person, they're a customer. It's offering a personalized service, so making the effort to get to know them, who they are, where they're from. Are they from the area? Are they an import from outside the area? Do they have family here? Do they have kids? Do they have grandkids? Do they have a dog? What sort of profession they're in? How their industry is affected by other situations? Have they gone on holidays somewhere?
Yeah.
And it's not just the dentists themselves that are involved in the relationship. It's the entire team. So when my nurse is able to ask about my patient's granddaughter and how they went with their ballet recitals, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
they really know me.
Yeah.
And we only make the effort to know them because we care about them.
Yeah.
And when they know that we care, they trust us. They were like, man, I can't imagine going to anywhere else but these guys, because they actually took the effort to know who I am as a person.
Make me feel important.
Absolutely.
And how do you remember all this stuff? Like you see, hundreds of patients a week.
Absolutely. We do our best to make little notes in the chart. You know, for if our receptionist engages with a patient, they find out a little bit of information about them, like, oh, they just adopted a COVID dog, then they're going to name,
Yes.
put those details in,
Yes.
and we will all be aware of it when we review the chart notes. We also go over it in morning huddle. If any patient is going through any sort of situation, for example, and this is a bit sad, one of my long-term patients, she's having a 3rd round of chemotherapy.
Wow.
Right? She hadn't been in for over a year, and she was there on the schedule seeing one of my team members that day. So I took a couple minutes to explain, this is the situation with this patient. This is what they're going through. Please look after them. And this is a way to help you understand what it is what they're going through, what have they been through in the past, and how we can best service them right now.
Excellent, man. And so important to do that, right? Nowadays, I believe as well that in any business, service needs to be the number one thing, right? Because people do business with people they like. People want to come back to people they like, right?
That's ultimately the core of it.
Yeah.
And then you have all the other things, like a clean environment. It's got to look, smell, feel fresh and clean.
Yes.
I mean, that's relatively easy to do, but the hard one to really hone in on is that dedication to maintaining like amazing intimate relationships.
Love it. Great point, guys. I hope you guys got value from that. And that's one of the ways Dr. Geoff is really known in this industry, and he's really built credibility and reputation. is where in his suburb in Penrith as well. And thank you for sharing that, Geoff. So let's move on to, we've all been a bit in isolation for the last 2 months, right?
Yep.
And a lot of reflection. When I'm talking to a lot of entrepreneurs and in these industries and people who've been on the hustle on a daily, on a monthly basis, and we're all high achievers right now. But we've gone into this isolation and we've had a lot of reflection time, right? I want to know, in Geoff's neural capacity, right? What have you experienced in this isolation? What are the 2 or 3 major reflections you've had for life in general? Geoff, share with us.
During the downtime, it was a perfect opportunity to catch up on a whole bunch of content that is available online. Every marketer, clinical expert, everybody was putting stuff out online, and it was cheap or free to be able to consume to kind of keep us occupied, but also to upgrade our skills and sharpen the proverbial saw, as Stephen Covey would put it.
Yes.
So I took the pleasure of consuming Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Con during that time, and I was just absolutely inspired by the stories that were shared by a number of speakers, which helped me kind of regain focus on what I needed to do in my life, in my business, and for my family. I've also gained a newfound appreciation for teachers. Thank you for what you do.
Yes, yes.
Because homeschooling is bloody hard.
Yes.
And also, lastly, like when you're during downtime, locked in, have some sort of structure or schedule to follow. Because if there's like a wide open canvas of time and space, was it Parkinson's law?
Yeah. You end time expands and contracts. You gotta be more focused.
Exactly. But once you put some focus into, I have to do this by this time, I have to do this by that time, you end up doing it.
Yeah.
And you feel that sense of achievement. It's like, yeah, I did it. Whether it's cleaning the house or having gone through a couple of courses online, at least you've set the intention, you've done it, and you're going to feel a lot more accomplished at the end of it.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. I want to pick on one thing you mentioned earlier on, which is you do meditate, even if it's for 5 minutes a day, right? Well, how does that help you? Especially like for us dentists, right, who are on the move, on the go, and like there's a lot of anxiety and rather stress in our industry, right? So how does meditation help you with that?
The mind is constantly making noise, chattering. I mean, how often do we run into dentists and they're always busy. Right. I don't have time to think. I don't have time to strategize. I don't have time to collect my thoughts.
Yeah.
Those 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or if you could even do an hour, good on you, champ. Is the time for you to like calm down those, I don't know, beta waves?
Yes.
If that's what it's called.
Yes.
I'm the worst student.
Yes.
But to have that level of focus and knowing on where you're directed, it's kind of like a captain reading a map and deciding, okay, this is where I am, this is where I want to go, this is how I'm going to plot myself to go there. Otherwise, if you don't, it's like you're in the middle of open water. It's like, okay, where do I go? Let's just paddle and be busy.
So you need to take time out to calm the monkey brain, as you say, right? The monkey brain, right? Calm the chatter down. And do you personally reflect in that time? What do you do, like in your meditation? What's your style?
I focus on my breath.
Yeah, okay.
And any passing thoughts, I just observe, no judgment, let it pass.
Yeah.
It's kind of like watching the TV.
Yeah.
Because it's virtually impossible to shut everything off.
Yes.
Absolutely impossible. And so this is something I actually learned from my previous coach, Chris Borrett.
Yes.
It's like just focus on the deep breath.
Yeah.
Whatever thoughts pass through, it's like a movie reel. Just let it be, without judgment.
Yeah. And that's important to do daily.
Daily.
When do you do it?
Pretty much right as soon as I get out of bed. you think, all right, time to get up and go. Like no.
Yeah.
Get out of bed, have that silence, calm the mind.
Love it. So you start the day with a bit of meditation.
Yes.
Before you hit the hammer.
hit the hammer.
Yeah.
Hit the iron.
Love it, love it. During the day,
Yep.
right? As we know that generally dentists are seeing patient after patient after patient. How do you, or what are the 2 to 3 tips you can share with the audience where you do not forget about you or taking care of yourself, right? Because most dentists I've ended up coaching as well is that they kind of neglect themselves during the time of working. So, so what are the 2 to 3 things you want to share some tips on for non-negotiables for the dentists themselves?
Okay. I'm sure that you've heard of block booking.
Yeah.
Putting the important things first.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're taught to, book a block appointment for, crowns or quadrant fillings or root canals. But really, the most important thing to block book would be your lunch.
Yeah. And take that time out fully.
Take that time out fully.
Yeah.
We've been guilty of running maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes into lunch. And I had the valuable experience of going up to Hornsby with Dr. Mark Nee, or Nia. He had a full hour, and it was so relaxing. And I was thinking, gosh, I should be doing this. It's like, what do I do with my time? Go for a walk.
Yes. Go for a walk.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've block booked that time, respect it. It is non-negotiable. Make sure that you finish on the hour, have your lunch, go for that walk, be able to calm that mind before going for round 2. Because otherwise, there's been days that I've worked the whole day without a lunch and I felt absolutely wrecked at the end. And so did my staff.
Yes.
Not a good way to go, not a good way to treat yourself or your team.
Yeah.
So in order to, look after yourself, care for you, make sure you block book that lunch.
Yeah, super important, guys. So great tip away from Geoff that a lot of people run into their lunch breaks and have very short lunch breaks. They don't get time to recharge even in that hour, right? So have a great lunch, but also make sure you have a good lunch, right, as well, right? Hydrate yourselves as well.
Yep.
That's important as well. So Geoff, thanks for sharing that. The next question I would like to ask you is more in regards to how can you make dentistry affordable for your patients, right? What are the strategies or tips you've got? Because we all do get patients where, some people have different capacity to spend.
Absolutely.
So 1 or 2 tips you can share on that?
Sure. When patients come to your office, there's usually some sort of want.
Yeah.
I want to be out of pain. I want to not have further problems. I want this tooth not to fall apart. I want a nicer smile. Whatever it is that they want, you've helped teach us to really push on those trigger points. Yeah. We're like, I want it. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes, right? So whether the price tag is $100 or $1,000 or $10,000, whatever it takes. Some practices are lucky enough where patients can just whip out whatever it costs right out of their pocket, and that's not a problem. Good for them.
Yeah.
In our location in Penrith, that hardly happens. I'd say maybe 1 or 2% of the time it happens. The rest of the time, we have payment plans that spread out the payment to make it affordable.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that they need, they could have it today, now, or within the next few weeks, so that whatever it is that's triggering them doesn't get worse over time, which we both know is what ends up happening when patients walk away and say, I'll think about it, I'll see what I could do. They don't come back. Oh crap, the condition's now worse.
So payment plans to get the treatment done now and pay it over time.
Correct.
One of the ways you can making them much more affordable. Right. Fantastic. That's a great point. I think I speak a lot to other dentists regarding payment plans. Payment plans is one of the most important thing to have in your practice nowadays. And you've pretty much resonating with that too.
Yep. In the States, we had Care Credit. Have you ever heard of Care Credit?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So now there's so many options. There's Dentacare, which I wouldn't recommend. Hum, which is Certegy or NDP, My Smile Plan, Zip Money, Afterpay.
Which one is your favorite?
Hum.
Hum.
My girls love Hum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
It's a very straightforward application process that goes through Dental for Windows. So there's no outside websites that you have to go through.
Oh, it used to be called something else.
National Dental Plan.
NDP, yes.
Yeah. So National Dental Plan, which is now Hum, they've really upped their user-friendly experience.
Yeah.
Is that even a word?
Yes.
My girls love doing home applications. It's
Yes.
so easy.
And you mentioned, what software are you using? in your
Dental for
practice?
Windows.
How are you finding that?
It's yeah, it does the job.
Yeah.
I mean, with every practice management software, there are pain points.
Yeah.
But it's just about knowing how to best use it and use their features. I mean, just like my brain, I'm using up to 10% of it at a time. There's so many features to Dental for Windows that I still have yet to learn.
Yes. But on a daily basis, it's doing the job for you.
It does the job for me.
What do you like the best or the quickest thing about it?
The ability for it to spit out the KPIs. So as for
Yeah,
any business
fantastic.
owner, any business owner, we're always constantly on the pulse with certain KPIs,
Yeah.
key performance indicators.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of those features is what I love about Dental for Windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We use the same software in our practice. We've been using it for 15 years. I love it because it does the job pretty much in everything we want. That is great. Like and your team is completely trained on all this kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And all the new team members that come aboard, they're at least 1 week of induction to show
Yeah.
how to do everything. There's
Yes.
also like manuals and checklists for them to go through. So it's
Yes.
all systematized. It's not from
Yes.
person to person. It's like, here's the book.
Yes.
We'll kind of just guide you through it. We'll watch you do it. Then you're good.
Love it, Geoff. Thank you. Now, Geoff, one thing I know you for is technology, right? You're a sucker for it, right?
I'd like to be more of an advocate.
I love it. But I love it that you understand that it's important to have technology, and you have implemented quite a bit of technology. Now, tell me 2 or 3 best technologies in your practice, which, like, almost like you want to share that with the audience, that this is a must-have.
Okay. Must have, non-negotiable, a digital camera.
Yeah.
Biggest game changer ever. I was trained by Frank Spear 10 years ago. And one of the things that we learned was digital photography. And I thought, oh man, I'm never going to be able to afford an SLR with a macro lens and,
Yes.
and that ring flash thing. And like, how the hell am I going to maneuver one of these things and do this on a regular basis? I got photos from 8-9 years ago now. And some of those patients are still with me.
Yes.
So we could actually really track the progress and see how things are going. Over time, the photography skills get better and better and better. You can't go wrong with digital photography. And it's what helps open up your patient's eyes to what's possible and also to issues that they don't perceive, because if it doesn't hurt, then there's not a problem.
Correct.
But when they see that occlusal shot of that cracked lower 6,
Yes.
it's like, that doesn't look good. What is that going to mean?
Visuals.
Well, that means that there's a crack there, and if we leave it alone, that tooth's going to split.
Yeah. So a must have a good digital camera.
Yeah, and for less than $3,000-4,000, you've got that technology available.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
So it's such a low cost technology that's it's a must have.
What else?
What else? It sounds so basic. Digital X-rays.
Yes. Yes.
And
I
the
think most dentists nowadays have digital X-rays.
Yeah.
Give me something else that has really worked for you.
Gosh. You know what wows our patients? Our scanner.
A scanner, yes.
Yeah.
Nowadays, a scanner is one of those things that
Yep.
it does help you even speed up things. Digitally recording again, three-dimensional views of your teeth and soft tissues and all that. So how often are you using your scanner?
Oh, daily, multiple times a day. Gosh.
Yeah.
All of our clear aligner patients, they're getting scanned. Even patients that are thinking about getting their teeth moved. Well, you know what? Let's just do a scan. Let's
Yes.
just whip it out, and then bring you back in a couple weeks' time. We'll show you what your teeth will look like when they get straight.
Yes.
And that usually helps move them across the line to getting some clear aligner treatment. It's a CEREC Prime scan, so obviously we're doing the single same-day crowns.
Yeah.
But now with CEREC Connect, we could take the scan and then push a few buttons, and then the lab job then goes straight to whichever lab you choose for aligners, splints, orthopedics, bridges, crowns, implant crowns, you name it.
Yes.
They'll spit it out, and patients are just delighted that you don't have to stick goop in their mouth anymore.
Yes.
And then when you're moving that 3D rendering of their teeth on a computer screen, it's like, wow, that's my teeth?
Yeah.
Wow, this is incredible. And I want them to feel like they're in Tony Stark's, workshop.
That's right. Yeah, you gotta show them that you're keeping up with technology. And like you said, two big things you mentioned was, of course, the cameras and the digital scanner, right? Both of them are visual based, right? And statistically, as we learned in NLP as well, that 70% of the population make decisions and take actions once they see something. And which is why it's so important to have digital cameras and scanners. I love that you shared that with the audience as well.
Yeah.
And you're aligned in that philosophy,
Yep.
Tell me, what else in your practice is unique that you have created or you have, put in? Something unique?
Oh, gosh.
It's a tough question.
It is a tough question. I would like to just mostly think it's more like our emphasis on our customer relations, but I did kind of mention that.
Yeah, but that's it. That still is a very valid point.
Yeah.
Because you come back to it, at the end of the day, you probably are superior in delivering a customer experience second to none, right? So I like that about and you brought that again, because that's the first thing I wanted to see, what pops in your mind and what pops in your mind. So it was a hard question for a reason.
It was a hard question.
Yeah, so I just wanted to see what pops in your mind, and
Yeah.
you came back to the same thing, which is once again an emphasis on how 7-star customer experience is super important to building a brand, to building loyalty in your practice, correct?
Yeah, because ultimately, your happy customers are going to be referring their friends and family with a high level of trust
Yeah.
for you to do whatever it is that you recommend for them.
Yes. Now, Geoff, a lot of our viewers are also new graduates or recent graduates,
Good luck.
What advice have you got for them, right? Like, give them 2-3 tips, because dentistry has changed since we graduated, or 10-15 years ago, right? What is the 2 to 3 things you want to give them a heads up on?
Heads up. Get your clinical skills up.
Yeah.
Big time. If it means that you have to accept a position in a rural or a public hospital, do it, because it'll get your hand skills way up. Yeah. There's a massive difference between somebody who's done 10,000 fillings in a public setting versus somebody that's done like 100 back in dental school. Your speed and efficiency clinically will be a lot higher. So that's usually a given, clinical experience. Second one, work on those communication skills. It means reading, taking up this weird habit of reading. Unfortunately, I was late to the party. I only started reading in 2013, so that was 7 years ago. I was, how old was I? 34 back then.
Yeah.
I've got this young
I thought you were 34 now.
What's it? 41 now. I got this young oral health therapist. He's 24, reading the same things that I'm reading right now.
Yeah.
So he's consuming the stuff like that's 10, 15 years beyond what I was doing.
Yes.
So he's got that head start in mindset and being able to communicate effectively, not just with patients and customers, but also with the people that are around him, so he can get to where he wants to go.
Right. Excellent.
Right. So reading, and then what else would I tell a young grad?
So clinical skills, communication skills. What else?
Don't let your first job be your forever job. Right? Everybody's looking for their forever job, for that first job. It doesn't have to be. It's got to be a place where you can get what you need, whether it's improved clinical skills, improved use of current technologies, and it's got to be a supportive enough environment that's going to allow you to grow and support you, especially when you get in trouble. When I was like in Alice Springs in my first job, I snapped so many roots.
Yeah.
And I needed so much help to bail me out. But that's what gave me eventually the confidence to take the risks, to do the surgeries that were a little bit more risky. And that was the big difference between me and one of my previous associates who was very risk averse. Yeah. And because of it, he ran to a lot of snags, was really nervous, and called on me a lot, which I don't mind, because ultimately I want to support him and help him in being able to tackle the more challenging cases.
Yeah.
But having like a supportive environment, super important. And that's what you want to be looking out for as you're going through your interviews.
I love that last point as well, Dr. Geoff made, which is you'll get mentorship along the way, different levels of mentorship, right?
Yep.
And that's fantastic, Dr. Geoff. Thank you for sharing that. Geoff, we are winding down now, and I wanted you to share a last message to our audience, something inspirational, something you feel is necessary for all dentists out there to know.
Okay. Final words. The industry is changing. It's not like what it used to be. If you keep thinking that by practicing good dentistry will get you across the line and lead you to success, think again. Being a dentist, running a business, it goes hand in hand. It's not separate. So whether you're an associate thinking, oh, okay, well, if I just convert more cases, then I'll be fine. It has to do also with your ability to create and maintain good relations with not just your patients, but also the teams around you.
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere I go, I'm still friends with all the nurses I used to work with, whether it's back in Youngstown, Ohio, to Lilly-Pilly, to even Fairfield and Smithfield. All right. I've got I try to maintain good relations with those that I've been with. I've had patients follow me like all the way from the Shire up to Penrith. That's a good hour and a half commute.
Yes.
Unreal. Couldn't ask for that.
Yes.
And so if there's any parting words of advice, just be really interested in other people and help others as best you can and give them immense value, more than what you're getting back. Because ultimately, that's what's going to propel you to where you want to go.
Yeah. Geoff, everyone has seen that what a legend this guy is, right? And even those last words, parting words, deep and straight to the core, that at the end of the day, you have to work with other people, to level up and to become a true entrepreneur in life, right? Dr. Geoff, thank you so much for today and adding so much value to our audience. You've been a great friend of mine.
Thanks.
I am privileged to be in your proximity, right? So thank you once again.
Thank you, Kinnar.
There we go, guys. Dentapreneurs TV coming to you with immense value, bringing once again entrepreneurs, speakers, authors, leading people and those who want to really help us in this story. So we're going to continue interviewing more people with your support. If you do like, would love that if you like this video, share this video, and please do comment on this video if you want any questions answered. We are there for you. Our intention is to bring you as much value as possible. Once again, thank you so much, guys, and have a great day ahead. Take these lessons and yeah, there we go. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kinnar.